This is a media review segment here on Insights. There has been increasing demand for consumer product and services, thereby creating a large market for the small and medium enterprises in the country. While some producers of these SMEs are crying, others are smiling to the bank. There are many questions demanding answers. And how much has the media helped to tell the story, or is telling the story? Well, to help us talk about SMEs, the challenges and awareness of in the SME sector, I have with me A.K. Ubiji. He's the Executive Secretary of the Nigerian Association of Small and Medium Enterprises. You're welcome, sir.
Thank you very much.
Okay, let's start from the challenges. There are some challenges: financial challenges, social cultural challenges, so many facing the SMEs in Nigeria. And we know the SMEs are supposed to be like the live wire of a growing economic like this. So how much is your organization doing to help tell the story, help create awareness and address these challenges?
If you've looked at the objectives of the association since inception in March 1996 till date, one of the cardinal issues there is basically advocacy. To advocate for good policies that will help to develop the micro, small and medium enterprises. So we use our platform to tell the government, the authorities, from the federal to local government, and even communities, that look, for any economy to do well, the SME sector is very, very key. But the SME sector cannot just stay on its own, survive on its own, or even stay on its own without support from the government around it, whether it is the federal government, state government, or local government. What do I mean by that? How many SMEs can set up their own power generating company, even buy a big generator? A lot of them cannot do that because they don't have the resources. So the issue of power is very, very important. It's a big challenge. It's a big challenge. Then we also have the issue of regulatory requirements. No SME can just go about producing any product without complying with set regulations. Who are the people that say the regulations is the government? Maybe you are in the food and beverage sector, you are in the key manufacturing sector. There are key government agencies that regulate that sector that will say, yes, this your product is certified because it has complied with set regulatory requirements.
I guess these SMEs can run to you for some of these challenges you are facing with regulators and maybe powers. Many of the challenges they have, they can run to you.
Absolutely. A lot of them, I mean, many of them are members. Okay. So that's why I said from inception that one of the key issues we take up is advocacy. Then how do we address these concerns? We address them through advocacy. Like the issue of power. In 2012, we had a PPD. What do I mean by PPD? Public policy dialogue. We realized shouting, using newspapers to abuse government does not solve the problem. So let's engage the government in a dialogue. Then, and which relevant government agency can we talk to that will take down our message? We did our research and realized that it's the Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission. That's the government agency that regulates that. So we took them up. What did we take them up on? If you can recall, go back, you see there was a time electricity tariff was increased from what it used to be. Before, after paying your electricity bill, you still have a fixed tariff. You pay, that one is fixed. Whether you consume light or you don't, you have to pay about 500 naira.
Okay.
You understand?
Yes.
But when the tariff was changed, it shut up.
It shut up. So they came to you, you complained, and you were able to...
Complain bitterly.
Have you been able to address it?
Yes. That's what led to us having a public policy dialogue with the NRC. Oh. And it was successful then. Because the top management of the NRC were invited to that PPD. And then not just telling them these are the complaints of our members. We did an evidence-based research. We went around the 6 political zones with a recognized research organization, NIPOS.
NIPOS, yeah.
They were paid to go around the 6 geopolitical zones, do a research to find out this thing you are saying, is it correct? Why? This and that. And what they found out was quite alarming.
Okay, good to know that you have this advocacy in place and awareness. But sometimes people have looked at this as a couple of tea drinking sessions, boardroom sessions that really doesn't yield the desired result. That's where the role of the media comes in. How much engagement do you have with the media to tell your story and to help spread it?
Okay, thank you very much for that question. There's no way you can do good advocacy without the media. The one on electricity tariff I told you, the media was hands-on.
Yeah.
They were up and doing. There's another one we did in 2016 on tax with Federal Inland Revenue Service. I'm sure for some time we've been hearing of people complaining of taxation here and there, local government, state government, federal. A lot of SMEs were complaining of that. We said, no, let's take it up. Then at the same time we're taking it up, the Federal Ministry of Finance set up a committee to look at the issue of taxation in Nigeria and come up with good policies that will help to address the concerns of stakeholders who are involved in that, in Abuja and several cities they have around the country. We played a very important role in the new tax policy produced by the federal government. You understand? And the press helped. We had a PPD in Lagos. The chairman of FRS, Mr. Tunde Fala, was physically present, and the press really helped. All the major media houses in that, both the print and electronic, they covered it and gave it prominence. So in that case, the press is really very, very helpful.
Okay, besides the meetings and events where you invite the press to cover, I think you should engage the press more often. You know, when repetition has a way of sticking in people's minds. Well, that's aside. Let's talk about the ease of doing business quickly. Ease of doing business. So what's the role of your organization in helping ease the business process of these SMEs?
Yeah, some of the issues I mentioned earlier, when you're talking of ease of business in Nigeria, or enabling business environment, we are all talking the same thing. Most of those things are also there. Like if your tax policy is not positive to SMEs, you understand? It will affect business. Even registration of businesses. What does it take you to register a business, register a company? NAFDAC, say NAFDAC, before they give you NAFDAC number for your product, how do you go about it? All those things, we say they should be business friendly. They should be business friendly so that more businesses will come out to register. And then all these things, when we have more businesses, it will impact on employment. More people will register their businesses, run it effectively, and have more people employed. So I think these are some of the things that inform the government setting up the enabling business environment.
And it's been working.
Yeah, they are working. But you know, it's not a one-day thing, because most of these things, it have taken time to come on board. So it's overnight, you're not going to erase them. But they are gradually dismantling them.
Funding has also been a major cry for most of the organizations, the SMEs.
Yeah.
How much is the CBN helping in this regard? Very briefly.
Yeah, the CBN, for a long time, the CBN have been very helpful. Let me go down the memory lane. I'm sure you've heard about the Sme'S scheme, Small and Medium Enterprises Equity Investment Scheme. It was a one-time CBN governor, Mr. Joseph Sanusi, that introduced that concept. And it was run for a while. I know the meaning of that. For banks, with the profit they are making, that let them pay back something to society. You understand? Let them pay back something to society. And with that, use it to invest in in companies. So if you are giving that money, that's my scheme, if you are involved in it, you, the owner of the business, will have your 60%. Then the bank that's putting fund into your business will have 40. You know, then after a while, the bank will exit and leave your business for you. That's the way of injecting funds. But under Storudo, that concept was cancelled.
Okay.
Then, subsequently, under Sanusi, who is currently an emir in Kano, he injected 220 billion for MSME, they call it MSME fund, which 60% is expected to go to women enterprises. That one, they've not even finished spending that money. And they cascaded it, not just development finance institutions like Bank of Industry, Bank of Agriculture disbursing the fund, even the commercial banks will disburse some. You understand? Then some were also, each state that meet the requirements is given 2 billion to give to SMEs within its localities. But the problem we had on that is implementation, especially at the state level.
So where are we now?
That one is still ongoing.
Oh, it's still ongoing.
Then the information we are getting is that some states abuse that opportunity.
Okay.
Some, not all of them, some abused it. They use it as a way of pleasing their political acolytes.
Okay.
So that's the danger in that. But at the same time, government is still thinking far ahead. Look at it. They set up Development Bank of Nigeria to be a wholesale bank, a wholesale development finance institution. Bank of Industry, Bank of Agriculture, they are retail because they lend direct to SMEs. But the Development Bank of Nigeria does not lend direct.
Okay, let me just take this last question just before we round up. You mentioned that some of these SMEs are your members. That means there are some others who are not your members. There are many of these very small businesses. They don't know that they are supposed to register in your organization or any of similar Sme'S or any other. So how do you get to reach these people? And there are so many all around.
First, let me correct one impression you have. Sme'S is the government agency responsible for overseeing government interest in the development of SMEs in Nigeria.
Okay.
They don't have membership.
Okay.
Ours is a membership organization.
Okay.
Just as you have others also. Now, coming to your question, if there are SMEs or micro enterprise, because if I understand you very well, you are talking about micro enterprises.
Yes.
A lot of them are registered with us. But what we don't do, we don't force you to come and register with us. But when we do our public policy advocacy, many a times a lot of them come to, like when we did the electricity own, when we did the tax own, a lot of them joined because FRS gave us a waiver on accrued interest and penalties. Okay. And even extended the time given to comply. Okay, look at the one on VASE now, which would have stopped when? It's extended with 2 months. Supposed to have ended in March. Now extended to June. Okay. Just to give consideration to the challenges these sectors are facing, so that a lot of people will be able to pay and come into the tax net. You understand? So a lot of them, when the thing was advertised by FRS, that look, for you to enjoy this, that was after our PPD in 2016. Please, you must go through NASME. If you're not a registered member of NASME, forget about it. A lot of, from all over the country, we are calling. Okay. People call to register because they realize that if they don't go through us, it's going to be a Herculean task. Okay. A lot of them will be caught napping. And they registered. So these are avenues. These are just big public programs we've had. There are other smaller events. We have flyer, which we give out to people. We have a website and so on and so forth.
All right, good to know that your organization is making efforts to bring all these medium, small, and micro enterprises together and work in their favor. Thank you very much, A.K. Ubiji, Executive Secretary, Nigerian Association of Small and Medium Enterprises. We've been talking SMEs in Nigeria, challenges, progress, and prospects. The program is Media Review here on Insight. In a moment, I'll be back.
Well, we're coasting home now.
Yes, it's time to go. On the media review segment, I was glad to know that many of these micro, small, and medium enterprises, they can actually register in the professional, in the association, the body, and this body is going to protect their rights. Good to know, and also good to know the much I've learned on medicals and the.
I hope and believe that Nigerians got to know that there's a very big difference between the Nigerian Medical Association and the unions.
And the unions.
NMA is a professional body, but Well, I was happy that the president had talked about the fact that they're able to separate why they don't get involved in unionism politics, why they can influence. Because people were surprised that, yeah.
Glad to hear so much they've talked about on codeine, the codeine ban. It's very important. People should know about it. We should tell the story. We should keep talking about it.
Yeah. On behalf of all of us, it was nice having you on Inside. Always be there for us. Bye-bye.